Good morning, everybody. Made it to the weekend. Happy Saturday. And I thought that this would be a good time to step back and take inventory of where the Seahawks sit right now in terms of their roster. And as I like to do, I put it together on Google Sheets. I just did the depth chart manually based off every player that, to my knowledge, is under contract with the Seahawks right now, be it an actual contract, like a normal contract, or a futures contract. And from there, I try to fill out the roster the best that I can. And from that, you can kind of look at it and judge, okay, we need help here, we need help here, we're good there, etc. So, this is the depth chart that I came up with as of right now. As you can see, it has 53 roster spots filled. However, because we still have work to do, you can see that there's only a handful of guys on the practice squad as of the moment. There are 4 of, I believe, 16. They might be changing it this year. Sometimes they make it like 12. Sometimes they make it 16. There's talk they're going to make it 18 at some point. Whatever. We'll figure that out later. But as of right now, this is the roster. So I've color-coded things to simplify what I'm trying to illustrate here. So there are 4 colors that rostered players can have here. Green is good. Green is like, okay, we're good here. Everybody's happy. Everything is cool. That player belongs on the 53 man. He's going to be at least a modest contributor in that role for the 2023 season. Like, he belongs. There's no problem here. Everything is good. And most of these players are green, as you would expect on any roster. Then you got orange. I got a couple players here who are orange. Derek Young, John Radigan, Joey Blunt. Basically, that means them being on the 53-man roster to start the season is cool, but they should have a very small role or a role relegated to special teams pretty much exclusively. Like, it's fine that they're there, but understand that if you're depending on them to be a starter on offense or defense, you have a problem. Derek Young showed some promise. Don't mind having him be a part of the offense in 2023, but you can't expect him to suddenly be able to play 50% of the snaps in every game, I don't think. So he's orange. John Radigan and Joey Blunt are special teamers. They're orange. Then you have yellow, and yellow is like on the fence. Like, it's not the end of the world if they're on the 53 man when the season starts. It's okay. But ideally, you would find a way to not have them there and have somebody you have a little more faith in to fill that role, right? I have a few yellows here, guys who I can kind of go one way or the other on. And red is like, if this guy's on the 53 man when the season starts, that's bad. And as you can see, we have a few of those as well. Now, the good news is we still have the whole offseason and the draft to figure this out. But from this depth chart, we can kind of see where the help needs to be placed. And this kind of goes back to the video I made yesterday talking about the players the Seahawks should try to look at in the rest of free agency here. So from this, you can kind of derive the need hierarchy, which is this spreadsheet here, which I've shown before, but it's updated now to reflect what we've done so far. So as you can see, there are a lot of positions where the Seahawks have no real need. They don't need to draft anybody. They don't need to sign anybody. They're good. Way I see it, quarterback, tight end, left tackle, right tackle, slot cornerback because of the Julian Love thing, strong safety, free safety, punter, and kicker are all good. We don't need to worry about it. The only exception might be tight end, and that's only if we trade Fant. So as of right now, with Fant on the roster, we can't really do anything about tight end. So these are positions I think we're just completely taken care of at. All right. So then you've got edge rusher and cornerback in the low need category. And if you jump on over here, as you can see, I'm looking at the edges right now. It's fine, right? You've got Nwosu and Mafe starting. Okay. Taylor coming off the bench. That's okay too. And then you've got Alton Robinson, who didn't play at all last year. Who knows what he is? Who knows if he can even play outside linebacker in a 3-4. Tyreek Smith, I don't trust at all because of his hips. You've got Garrett, who's already on the practice squad as is. If you want to get a little bit better at edge rusher, I think that would be okay. Like, we've got 3 guys that I feel pretty good about right now. Nwosu, Mafe, Taylor. Robinson, I want to like him, but we haven't seen him in so long. It's like, how can I have a lot of faith in him? And then, of course, you've got Tyreek Smith, who I mean, he's already got bad hips. He's what, 24, 25, and he's already got bad hips. That's bad news. So I do think we maybe need a little bit of help there. And then I also said outside cornerback. Now, the good news here is that we can easily address this in the draft if we need to. But right now, you've got Tariq Woolen and Michael Jackson starting at left and right corner. And then you've got Trey Brown backing both of them up, kind of. And the guys who you have behind those three would be like Chris Steele and Isaiah Dunn. Those guys have no place on an NFL roster, I don't think. Based off what we've seen, they are pure practice squatters. So ideally, we're able to push Dunn and Steele off of the roster by the start of the season. At least get one guy who you feel a little bit better about than those two, I would say. So those two positions I view as being of a low need, but we need to do something. Nothing huge necessarily, but I want to bring in some help at those two spots. Okay, so then we have the medium need positions. We got running back, wide receiver, and then the entire interior offensive line. And this kind of speaks for itself. Right now, we've got two running backs under contract that we like, Walker and Dallas. Like Walker, perfectly fine as a starter. Dallas, perfectly fine as a backup. But we got nothing behind him except Thompson. And Thompson, we don't want him on the roster. If Thompson's on the roster, that's a bad sign. We probably want him on the practice squad, and we want to add two running backs behind Walker and Dallas. Especially with the injury history of our running back position, we just need to go a little bit fatter here. So I think that the good news is the top of the depth chart is okay. Walker is a good starter. Dallas is a good third down back. But we need a power back, and maybe we need another speedster back as well. We need something else that can at least play. Put it that way. So you have running back. Wide receiver, also to me, is a medium need. After Metcalf and Lockett, I don't know what we have. Derek Young has shown potential, but it's a very small sample size. Same with Cade Johnson. Dwayne Eskridge, I'm kind of done with him. I know some people aren't all the way out with him yet, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we've got a good top two and then nothing. Like Aesop Winston and Connor Weddington, I don't know if they really belong on the 50. I don't know if they really belong in the NFL at the end of the day. Like they should probably at least not be starting the season on the 53-man. And I don't know if Eskridge or Johnson should be either. So we need help with depth here. That's why I say it's a medium need, because we might need like two receivers. Just like I said, we needed two running backs. We might need two receivers to round out this depth chart. They don't have to be great. Like if Cade Johnson is one of them, that's fine. But you probably need to bolster this up at least a little bit. I want to bring in one guy who I like at least a good amount better than Eskridge and Cade. I'll put it like that. Then we have the entire interior offensive line. Right now I have Jalen McKenzie and Greg Island listed as the backup left guard and right guard, but they're actually tackles. I just put them here so they could fit into the roster. But it doesn't matter. Tackle, guard, they should not be on a 53-man going into a season on a good NFL team. So McKenzie and Island need to be pushed to the practice squad, and we need a backup left guard and a backup right guard, which currently, in my estimation, we don't have. So the good news is at least we have starter pretty well taken care of. Damian Lewis is fine. And I even think Phil Haynes is fine too, honestly. I'm not that worried about it. But we need backups to both, and we need a backup center. I think that Brown will be perfectly fine in his role as a center. I think he'll be really good. But Joey Hunt cannot be the backup. Joey Hunt is at best a practice squatter in this league. That's where he needs to be relegated. So sometime this offseason, got to push him to the practice squad. And then finally, we have three positions that I've listed as high need. Nose tackle, defensive end, and linebacker. I think these are pretty clear. Like, okay, Al Woods, if we decide to roll with him, I'm perfectly content to say that he belongs on an NFL roster and in his current state. But he should probably be playing like 15 snaps a game, maybe 20. So he should be a backup. And Brian Monet, not only is he not healthy and probably won't be ready to start the season, he's pretty bad. Like, he's probably just bad at football. So at this point, I think Brian Monet probably just needs to, I guess you could have him as a warm body, but man, we've seen so little from him, and now he's coming off this big injury that may even steal his entire 2023 season for all we know. So the way I see it, we definitely need help at nose tackle. We need a starter, and we might need depth. It's possible. I don't know if we even want Al Woods around to play 15 snaps a game next year. He's old. His body is beat up. He's losing effectiveness. So Honestly, I don't even know if Al Woods should necessarily be sticking around at this point. So we definitely need some help here. I'm okay with Al Woods as a backup potentially, but we need a big investment at nose tackle. And then we have defensive end. The way I see it, we need help at the top and we need help at the bottom. We could use a better starter on the right side than Reed. Like, Reed is okay, but I'd prefer him off the bench to having him start. And we need better depth because right now our depth is Miles Adams, who I'm intrigued by, but he's not anything over the top. And Jared Hewitt, who is another guy who does not belong on an NFL roster in his current state. Should be a practice squatter. We need to sign some guys to make sure these guys end up on the practice squad. And honestly, at least one of the guys we sign, I think, should be better than Reed. Or draft. By the way, you could draft, Jalen Carter, Brian Brzee, and those guys could start over Reed, and it's fine. But I want to do better at the top, and I want to do better with my depth. So I am going to say that that is a big need. And then the final big need is, I think, pretty obvious, inside linebacker. As of right now, Jordan Brooks is unlikely to be ready to start the season. So right now, your starting linebackers are Devin Bush, which that's whatever, that's fine, I guess. And then John Radigan, who's should be a special teamer. As of right now, that's what he should be. Asking him to start at inside linebacker is kind of a disaster. And then behind those two guys, you're going to have V. Jones, who should be a practice squatter, and Onu Giogu, who should be a practice squatter and also is playing out of position at inside linebacker. He should be an edge. So even if you assume that Brooks is going to be ready for week 1, we could use some serious help here, and that's just not likely. And by the way, Brooks is in the last year of his deal. He might not be here much longer anyway. Also, I guess you could say long snapper is an area of big need because we literally don't have one, but that'll be easy. Okay, so that's it for my hierarchy of needs right now. That's it for my depth chart right now. You can see how the roster is starting to take shape here, but work continues to need to be done. So let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks.